I can't always be playing your fool. What is up, Jeromes? Happy NFL Draft Eve. We're back on the live stream, 11 a.m. Central Time every single friggin' weekday. We're here for an hour talking Vikings, talking draft, talking Q&A, all of the stuff, all of the fun things in the world, as well as Percy Harvin one time. Every single day waking up thinking, all right, what sort of content and nonsense are we going to put out today? And then it's just like, Percy Harvin, 32 years old, one time. I mean, it does make some sense. Hold on. So Percy Harvin really got unfairly tarnished as like a headache, diva, just a problem child with the Vikings. Josina Anderson, there we go. But when it came out that he had anxiety issues, which, if he would have been able to talk to someone, be able to actually talk and communicate to the team about that, if it didn't have that stigma at the time, who knows what would happen. So here's Percy, working out. And obviously this is what happens with insiders all the time, is that because Josina had 4 or 5 tweets about Percy Harvin. So they'll carry some water in exchange with an agent or with a player in exchange for information. So, Percy turns 32 in May. The last time he really played at a high level was 2013, which was, of course, the Seahawks Super Bowl year. And, of course, it was against the Vikings. But, I love Percy Harvin. Like, if you're too young to have experienced Percy Harvin, dude was absolutely legit. Like, everything that we talk about, Laviska Shenault and, Brandon Ayuk and Jalen Reagor after the catch, as well as Antonio Gibson, just a sort of do-it-all guy from Memphis. That was Percy Harvin. Like, that was legit Percy Harvin. He could have been a running back. He could have been a wide receiver. He was a returner. Like, the Vikings used him the way that they probably should have used Cordero. But, man, he was just an amazing player. Do I think that he still has it at 32 after not playing in the NFL since 2016? Probably not, but would I be willing to try and find out for the league minimum? Yes, you bet your sweet ass I would. Yeah. All right, so we got Q&A. We're going to run a mock draft too. Let me get this thing set up so we can just hop on this thing afterwards. Or should we just do a full one-round mock? Why not? We'll do that. So we'll set that up for later on in the stream. So thank you for coming along on the live stream, as well as if you're catching us on demand. If you want to support the work, hit that join box, get yourself a purple check mark, become a monthly or platinum Jerome player. Just hang out, support independent work, and there you go. First up, Bjorn Ironside. Would you give Braxton Miller a shot in preseason when he's healthy? I think he's a better Taysom Hill. Well, he probably could be, but nah. Uthred of Bebenberg. In my humble opinion, my lord, who is the best quarterback on the Patriots roster? Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, Julian Edelman. I think Edelman and Hoyer are pretty close. Hoyer wasn't good, but also now he's just a corpse. By the way, Brian Hoyer was the main quarterback in that big, was it 2013 or 2014 Josh Gordon year? Must have been 2013. Yeah, because Norv was in Minnesota in 2014. Josh Gordon year with the Browns. It's just funny to me. Stidham, just by sheer fact that he's younger. Former 4th round pick out of Auburn last year. They're relatively high on him, but also that could be a bluff trying to just cover what the Patriots' intentions are at 23. I think they certainly could go quarterback early. Ragnar Lothbrok. Well, they can't go in second round because they gave up a 2 for Mohamed Sanu, which is just, for every good move that Belichick makes as a GM, he makes a couple of really dumb ones. Like, remember Razai Dowling, 2nd round pick? Okay, sure. Could Clayton get, as well as you let Akeem Hicks and Chandler Jones just go, or you traded them? It's like you had Akeem Hicks and Chandler Jones on the same defense. Okay. Could Clayton Gathers be a good fit in Zimmer's defense, especially if the moves to a 3-4? Could be a strong box safety and can play some slot if need be. Yeah, sure. Why not? JD Mack. Thoughts on former XFL and West Virginia Mountaineer stud Kenneth Robinson Jr. So, Kenny Robinson is pretty legit. I think he is in the... he's slightly behind Jeremy Chin, Ashton Davis. Kyle Duggar in terms of like the safety hierarchy, but super interesting story. Was a very talented player, West Virginia. Decided to go to the XFL early because the family needed a little bit of cash. Was a pretty damn good player there. I mean, I would be fine if the Vikings picked him up fourth, fifth round, somewhere in there. Really fun story. Ethan Griffith, you say Tony Pride Jr. An Easter egg, or is that going over my head? So I sometimes juxtapose Tony Troy Pride Jr. with Tony Jones Jr., who's also the running back coming out of Notre Dame. Just 4-letter Y names. Just sort of goes back and forth, as well as Junior. So it's sort of easy why that happens. I mean, we're looking into like 200 prospects, 300 prospects. It happens. Kai Endall, most exciting reaction you've ever had at a Minnesota sports draft pick. Also, Derek Brown versus Chase Young, Mortal Kombat battle. Who wins? I think, well, Chase Young has the reach, but Derek Brown is just like got the man size strength. Plus, he's 6'5", so I would go Derek Brown. We're actually Minnesota. So I remember the Randy Moss pick. So as a kid, I was like 12, 13 years old. He was the guy that I'd watched at Marshall just destroy fools, right? And I was really excited when he fell to the Vikings at 21. And remember, that was when the draft was on Saturday. So that was just a fun little afternoon start off for the Vikings there. Also, when the Vikings traded up, so 2014, first year of Mike Zimmer, you trade back from 8 to 9 with the Browns, get Anthony Barr, and it was like, oh, a defensive end? Okay, defensive end. Then Zimmer makes him to a strong side off ball linebacker. And then the Vikings just trading back up to get Teddy. Because there have been some talk, I mean, the Vikings at 8 could have been in at a quarterback. I mean, it could have been Derek Carr, could have been Teddy at 8. I would have been fine with Teddy at 8, by the way. Then they just trade back up with the Seahawks and just go get Teddy. That was just amazing. That was actually on a live stream, but the footage has been lost to time. I can't really find it. Mike Yang. Do you think Mike Hughes will be a start of the season? And if he does, will he be able to live up to the hype we've been waiting for? Yes and yes. Keep Mike Hughes' hope alive. I mean, he had the ACL. Last year, he was still slowed by the ACL. He almost was going to be on the PUP list last year and then had the neck issue. But if he's absolutely medically good to go, let's get it going. Skull Vikings 33. Any predictions on how this virtual draft is going to be, such as how the picks will be announced and how players will be interviewed? Well, I think that they've got a handful of players, at home, so I'm sure they'll do like patched in stuff. Audio, I'm sure will be in and out. Like when you're on Skype or Zoom and you get like that tinny, like when there's latency issues, which I'm sure you get that sometimes on the live stream. Unfortunately, what can you do? I do expect. I want there to be one just major catastrophic snafu, like someone's internet goes out. If you really want to sabotage the draft, how hard would it be to shut down power to one GM's house? I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it would be relatively easy, or to hack into the NFL's conferencing app. I'm sure much smarter people than I could actually do it. So, I mean, this one is ripe for absolute anarchy, and I would be here for it, and it would be hilarious. Brian Yaz, who's your favorite cinematic villain? Mine's Thad Castle. Who's Thad Castle? Oh, Blue Mountain State. I actually didn't watch Blue Mountain State. I heard it's really good. Maybe it's on the to-do list. I'm going to watch Draft Day, though, because it's phenomenal, and it's on sale on Amazon right now for $7. But, cinematic villain? Well, I mean, the Joker from The Dark Knight. I mean, Heath Ledger, that was just insanely creepy. Maybe TV-wise, Gus Fring. I mean, Gus was just so... the actor who played him was just so amazingly reserved yet intense. It was just an amazing portrayal. Really, really, really cool. Gamer 15. Have you seen Rick Spielman's draft setup? Looks like Gettleman's. Yeah, they showed it to a degree on the Zoom press conference call. It's just a couple computers, a couple TVs, bunch of phones. Sure. Brett Vuvuzelos. What receivers would start day one for the Vikings if Minnesota draft them? Actually, most of them. I would say even going down to the mid rounds, like even when you get down to like James Prochet and Donovan Peoples-Jones and Devin Duvernay, Brian Edwards. I think a lot of those guys, there's probably 20 receivers in this draft that could potentially come in and start week one for the Vikings. That's how deep and good this class is. Thomas Danielson. Do you think Rashad Bateman gets disrespected when it's his turn? I really like his game. Also, do you think he gets drafted in 2020 if he declared? Yeah, I mean, if he was able to, I think Bateman will probably be solidly in the day one, day two conversation. Maybe even works his way into the first round. And like next year's Jamar Chase and everyone else in terms of wide receivers coming in. But yeah, I do like Bateman's chances next year. Abza Abdi, who would you rather be, Vintage James Bond or The Godfather? Well, The Godfather got shot, and then he died in like choking on an orange wedge. So screw that noise. But like Vintage James Bond, when they're talking about Sean Connery. By the way, did you know that Sean Connery is supposed to be in Skyfall? So the Scottish dude who's looking after Skyfall Manor, where James Bond grew up. I mean, that was like innocuously like, oh, that's a really big role for for a nondescript actor. Like that was supposed to be Sean Connery, but then he was like, no, I want my last movie to be The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Great. Harvey Melber. Vikings versus Bucks in the NFC title game one time. Yeah, that's the only downside about the Bucks just absolutely getting jacked up on like the proverbial roster steroids is that Vikings have to play them in the regular season. But Vikings Bucks for all the marbles, US Bank Stadium NFC title game, that'd be pretty damn sexy. Not gonna lie. Brett was by the way, if Percy went to the Buccaneers, just give them the Super Bowl right now. That's how it would work. Brett Vuvuzelos, do you think we can beat the Bucks because they have Gronk, Godwin, Evans, and Brady? Sure, we'll just outscore them. But if they don't get offensive line help early, I mean, those tackles are super suspect. Abdi, what do you think about drafting Tyler Huntley and running a Lamar Jackson style offense? Well, thought about that too. Trying to think, who's the Virginia quarterback? Perkins. It would be intriguing as well. But I'm with Lamar Jackson coming in and the Ravens actually acquiescing to his skill set, building around the quarterback, such a novel idea. I think there could be some room for some more dynamic running quarterbacks. I mean, even Jalen Hurts inserting some more read options, some more RPO concepts, which I think that this always happens where you have talent from high school and then it bleeds into college, and then concepts from college goes along with that talent, eventually works his way into the NFL, even though they're still so stupid hard-headed. I mean, how many of these offense coordinators would run out of a 21 personnel pro set if they want? Yeah, pro right, pro left, pro tie. There. JD Mack. How do you think whiteout uniforms with a special white helmet with purple horns would look? Actually, I've never been a fan of Vikings concept. Yeah, everyone brings up like the all black uniforms or the all white uniforms. I've never been like really hyped about them. I've actually been pretty meh, or like even these just like or yeah, like the all white uniforms. Oh, we have the Viking twill, or like I'm very meh on them. Like, I think that white helmets like are pretty sexy, especially if you look at the Chargers, but I just don't see them working with the Vikings or even stuff like this, or it's just like, okay, go LSU Vikes. I mean, I guess if we draft Clavon Chason and Christian Fulton, sure, maybe. Vikings helmets. Or like this, like I'm not wild about this. Yeah, I know that people get super hyped up about it, but I'm meh. I'm very meh on it. Next up is Ben Kelly. I heard Spielman reached out to Marcus Keys, guard from Oklahoma State, probably a priority UDFA, depending on if we draft into your offensive line. Yeah, I mean, you have 12 picks. I would like 3 of them to be offensive line, but also keep churning the bottom of the roster and that 90-man. Because the Vikings only have 60 men on the 90-man roster right now. So they're going to have – actually, no. Is it more? No, I think it's 60. So they are going to have some room to bring in a lot of undrafted free agents. Now, it's not going to be like normal. Also, how do you really decipher for UDFA tryouts virtually, right? So it's going to be a lot different than usual. But I think a lot of guys that the Vikings may have like 7th round grades on are possibly going to go undrafted. So yeah, guys like Keys, guys like, well, Nick Harris is probably going to get drafted out of Washington. I'm trying to think. Kelvin Throckmorton out of Oregon could make some sense. think Trey Adams may actually go undrafted, just because you saw a lot of high level production, but those health issues, man. Like if teams can't get their doctors in on him, he actually may go undrafted. Well, he may go fourth round. He may go undrafted. I mean, that's how variant Trey Adams could be. Next up is Stanley Morris. Oh, also, let's give a couple of shout outs here to the live chat. Let us know where you're watching from. I'll give a couple of shout outs there. Stanley Morris asks, honestly, just can't wait for the draft to happen already. Can we discuss what the Vikings did well, did poorly, should have, just amp skull? Yeah, I agree. It's like 3 days of Christmas. The 3 days of Christmas. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tristan, if the Vikings sign Percy Harvin, do you think they should still draft a wide receiver? Absolutely. Honestly, if they brought on Percy Harvin, it should not change their draft strategy one iota whatsoever. Jason2226, watch out for Jelani A.J. Green, wide receiver out of New Haven. Kid's a stud who had an off-field issue, which is why he isn't in a big school. Big ball, Monster Pro Day as well. Check him out if you got a chance. So, all right, A.J. To be honest, I haven't heard of this guy. Let's see. Amazing. Jelani Green's draft stock rising after amazing TikTok, which is always just great. So let's see here. No draft profile. All right. So check out here. 6 foot, buck 95. Let's go. All right. No spider chart, no stats, no whatever. UDFA one time? Sure. Next up is, I wonder if Jason226 is related to Jelani Green. Ethan Griffith. Is Bryce Hall being underrated by the general public? Yes. The more tape I watch, the more I love getting on a 58. Yes. More better zone than a man guy, but also is being pushed down because he had a pretty meh 2019. He easily would have been a first-round pick if he would declared last year, which he probably should have done in hindsight. Brian Yaz, who is the one guy that you want the Vikings to avoid like the plague, the Rona, in round 1? Not really anyone I would be upset by. Like if they went BPA, like I would understand Epinesa, I would understand Gross Matos. I guess maybe Becton. Like if you're picking up Becton and then you don't have any other contingency plans, like hey, he's gonna be the future left tackle from day one, I would have a lot of issues with that. I mean, not so much the weed. I don't really care about that. Just more the tape, where I understand he's super quick, he's super agile. I'm worried about Becton. I really am. I'm not really as high on Denzel Mims, but if they made that pick, I would understand it. Like I do think that he has the highest ceiling, but also I think he's got the lowest floor of some of the top tier wide receivers. That's really about it. A couple shout outs here. Brew Crew Gaming, shout out from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Pride of Trey Pipkins. There we go. A left tackle of the future for the Chargers. Actually, yeah. Next up is Tyler W. Skull from Post Falls, Idaho. Love Idaho. Matt Sonnen, Rockwell City, Iowa. Davis Warrow, also in Cedar Rapids, Iowa as well. Alil Adkins, Royalton, Minnesota. Sounds beautiful. And that's your Zach Ballas, Northern Colorado. Head coach, Tahiti Boa. Sure. Rick Spielman, Circle Pines, Minnesota. Jabrisky, of course, from Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Shout out across the river. Purple Rain, Wausau, Wisconsin. Wausau. Michael Blackie, Arizona, as well as John Gordon, NTW Mountain, Minnesota. Skull, new NTW. What does that mean? XW Wolves, Maple Grove. There you go. Alex Berger, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Skull, thank you guys very much for coming along on the live stream. It's a lot of fun every single day. Brings a little bit of structure to the content, as opposed to if we didn't have this, hey, at this time you have to be here for an hour, we would just do like 17,000 videos about, I don't know, comparing Riley Reef to Sloppy Joe's. Probably. Let's see here. Michael Blackie. Oh, Michael Blackie's in the super chat or live chat too. I really like Jacob Eason in the third round, but if we don't draft a quarterback, what do you think about Montez UDFA? Also, big fan of your content, bro. Big fan of you. Thank you for coming along. I do not like Eason at all. I'm meh on Eason. I'm even more meh on Jake from State Farm. I think that Kirk Cousins' extension Could put the kibosh on a day one, day two quarterback. Montez from Colorado, he's fine. I'm more intrigued by the aforementioned Tyler Huntley from Utah, as well as Mason Fine. I just really like Mason Fine from North Texas. Or, I mean, from a air raidish system, sawed-off guy, barely 6 foot if he's an inch. But I mean, he just has it. Like, he just has a little bit of the moxie. He does have a little bit of like the Drew Brees cocksure attitude. It does remind me a little bit of Baker Mayfield, but I mean, that's TBD if that's going to work out with Stefanski. So we'll see. Jared Lewis. If you were GM Andy instead of YouTube superstar Andy, at the end of the draft, who would the Vikings fans like to see drafted at left tackle, wide receiver, and cornerback? See my perfect 1, 2, 3. We get a little parlay going on here, or a win play show. Left tackle, Andrew Thomas, by hook or by crook. And if not, if they have to stick and pick, I would say Ezra Cleveland or Josh Jones. I'll say, just for this exercise, I'll say Ezra Cleveland. A wide receiver, Jalen Reagor, and cornerback Jalen Johnson, which I think an amalgamation of the draft value at 22, 25, 58, but perhaps have to move around. I think they can get it done. The average gamer, both are in their prime. Who are you taking in a game of 21, MJ or Kobe? MJ every single day, every day. Average gamer, Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton are hanging off a cliff. Which one do you save? Who do you save? You have to save one. Who do you save? Man, that's tough. Just like football's football, man. Like, it's not that serious, but I mean, we're literally letting one person die here. I would probably pick Sean Payton, and it's not because of like an unbridled hatred for Aaron Rodgers, which I think he's an absolute douchebag, and I hate everything about him. But just because Sean Payton has kids, like, that's really what this comes down to. But it's a really awkward one. All right, Pulford Skull. Thursday night, it's around middle of the first round. One of the big three elite wide receivers still remains. Would you trade 22, 132, and Anthony Harris for 18 and Rosen? Dolphins took 2 at 5. So we said that we would consider trading up for a wide receiver. We wouldn't trade up far. If you took the 5th rounder out, so it was just 22 and Anthony Harris for 18 and Rosen, and you're coming away with Judy or Lamb or Ruggs, I'm pretty indifferent about those 3. I would do it. I would do that. Zodiac Killa, $2 in the super chat. You think we need a left tackle and can get a shout out? Well, shout out there. Really need a left tackle. Yeah. Or Riley Reef has been perfectly average. Like, he's been perfectly fine, but you can do better. Certainly do better in this draft. Certainly would be an upgrade if you got Trent Williams. So I think they certainly can do better in that respect. John Giggins. Plus, the more I think about Reef kicking the guard, I know it's something that we've been guilty of talking about ad nauseum. I'm not as excited about it. John Giggins is having 2 diminutive cornerbacks at disadvantage, Hughes and Gladney. Just thinking if we have a choice of Gladney, Johnson, Fulton, you rate them similarly. Is height the tiebreaker? I've started using the word diminutive thanks to PA from the Vikings. I don't think height's the tiebreaker. I think stylistically, I do like Jalen Johnson. I do like Jeff Hefe Gladney, just because they are a little bit feistier. I think they are better suited for man coverage. Fulton is a nice, like, all-around cornerback. Not as physical as you want him to be, but is bigger. Jalen Johnson being 6 foot, does that give him a slight edge over Gladney? Does it even out with if you're worried about Johnson's labrum? Sure, but for me, it's less about height. It's more about style. So that's why, even though all 3 of the guys I wouldn't mind in the first round, I do give the edge to Johnson and Gladney over Fulton. Craig Person. Although Fulton is the Wizinator guy, so I mean, he would fit in here perfectly. Great person. If Andrew Thomas and C.J. Henderson somehow both fell at 22, who'd you take? Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas. Also, love the work. Keep it up. Best Vikings content I watch. Thank you for consuming it, man. You are the best, Craig. John Gordon, $2 in super chat. NTW stands for Nate Wash, Minnesota. Skull, bro. I saw that up north. Probably up north. Sir Meeps, hey, thanks for coming along, man. Sir Meeps a lot. According to Rick Spielman, he was given 3 trade offers, and they were all about moving up and down in the draft. Which one's more likely? And if you trade up, who would it be? I think trading down is by far the most likely scenario. Also, Vikings are betting favorites to trade, I believe. They're even larger favorites than the Dolphins, who have 3 first-round picks, which I think is interesting. But the trading up, it's pretty limited. Like C.J. Henderson, I would think about it. One of the wide receivers, big 3 guys, I would trade up, but not far. Isaiah Simmons obviously would be up there. Andrew Thomas will be up there. Wills or Wirfs will be up there. It's really about it in terms of realistic guys. Well, if Chase Young fell to 15. Hunter Williams. I think we're out of Trent Williams' skull. Not necessarily. I mean, all the blustering that's coming out of Washington right now, I just read as absolute baloney. I just read as absolute BS. Like, multiple teams are in a Washington. It is so desperate coming out of Washington, and it's so transparent that, they're leaking info to just Josina Anderson and John Keim and some other national media slappies and jabronis. It's like, oh, cool. Like, this is how the game is played. Oh, Washington has received a lot of interest at number 2 overall pick. That means, hey, if you have any faint interest or passing interest in number 2 or Trent Williams, better up your offer. That's how the game is played right now, please. Seth V. Herman. I think we should be in on trading for Malik Hooker for the Colts. I do like hookers. He's young and still on his rookie deal. Could be a cheaper option. Anthony Harrison be pretty solid. Only thing scares me, injury concerns. Thoughts? Yeah, that was a concern about Hooker coming into the draft, but you've seen enough from him with the Colts where the high highs are certainly there. I think he is legit. I really love Malik Hooker. I would certainly at least kick the tires on it. Kaiser Helm 14. Tampa first round for this year and next year. First round pick for Julian Edelman. I mean, sure. Justin Kelly, thoughts on Julian Blackmon, cornerback safety from Utah. I think he'd be a replacement for Sherrills, but better at being a corner. Yeah, guys like Julian Blackmon, guys like Shaheem Carter from Alabama, the crossover safety cornerback mix, guys that are going to be later rounds, guys that are going to have value as sort of a utility defensive back as well as in the return game. I think certainly do have a lot of value. So, I mean, Blackmon, I enjoy. I really like Shaheem Carter as well. Thomas Danielson. Spielman recently said we do have safeties pretty much set. Basically means adios, Harris. Where's the extension? Weird. Am I right? I don't believe a word that Rick Spielman says ever about anything. Kyle Rippentrop, who is on Zimmer's draft Christmas list compared to Slick Rick's? If we leave milk and cookies out for Santa, what do we leave out for Goodell? Roselle will be a pack of Lucky Strikes. Yeah, I love Pete Rozelle from back in the day. Like, you could tell from that voice, like when he's reading off picks at the Manhattan Marriott, just like in the ballroom, and like they had to clear out by the afternoon because they got the Kabrisky wedding coming in at 6. And it's like in between picks, Pete Rozelle, just back there, quarterback John Elway. He sounds like you remember the racial draft sketch from Chappelle Show? He sounds like Most Def. That was Pete Rozelle. The Baltimore Colts like John Elway. There you go. Next up, compared to Slick Rick's. Well, I think Rick is definitely going to be worried about the offensive line. He's going to be worried about wide receiver. But, I mean, Rick is just going to be like, all right, 22-25, get Hefe Gladney and Jalen Johnson. Or, hey, trade up everything for Isaiah Simmons. Could you imagine Isaiah frickin' Simmons in this Zimmer defense all over the place, especially if they are moving towards a multiple front? I mean, linebacker, safety, put him at edge, put him at corner in certain situations. I mean, kid's an amazing player. I love him. Eileen Atkins, $5 in the super chat. Do you think a team will want to jump the Pats for a quarterback? We could get a good deal from the Colts. Skull, have some of my Rona money. LOL. Hey, shout out to you, man. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, the Patriots. I mean, are they set with Stidham? Second-year guy, former fourth-round pick out of Auburn. Maybe, maybe not. Are they in love with Jordan Love? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, if a team does like Jordan Love, or hell, maybe even a team highly values Jalen Hurts, do you think would it be an absolute stunner if Hurts ends up in the first round? A bit of a stunner, but you could sort of see it just because of the quarterback tax. That's why I think 22 could have some value, because even if the Patriots aren't in on a quarterback, just a perception that they could be, it could drive up the value of 22. Ethan Young, Evan Young. Should the Vikings pick up a veteran free agent wide receiver? Yes, Percy Harvin. If we do, then it would be a rookie Thielen, Sharp. I do like Sharp. I do like BC. I think they're going to bring in multiple rookies. So, yeah, it isn't really that they should bring in a guy to start, but some sort of veteran dart throw like a Marquise Lee, like a Percy Harvin would make sense. Kevin Valdez. Should Vikings give Harvin a call one time? Yeah. What's up, Percy? What's going on? Shoot. Let's go Vikings 33. A few days ago, I was pretty optimistic that the Vikings could trade up for a top 3 receiver, but as time goes by, the thought of doing it is pretty much worse off for me. Well, trading up for a big 3 wide receiver, I mean, that was like less exciting for me, although I do like Judy, I do like Lamb, I do like Ruggs, just because of the depth of wide receiver. And as we've said, if there was a position to skip in the first round, wide receiver would be it, just because I think round 2, round 3, even round 4, you can find some decent guys who contribute week 1 for the Vikings at wide receiver. Mac, if Quentin Nelson were to be drafted in this class, where would he go? All right, so rookie Quentin Nelson coming in, not Quentin Nelson as we know now, because Nelson was still like the 6th overall pick. I think that he would go... He might go 3. Like, Lions pick him up at 3. He certainly wouldn't get by the Giants. I mean, Quentin Nelson, Will Hernandez. That's pretty gross. Stanley Morrows. Sink or swim drafting Ruiz and moving Bradbury to... I'm guessing saying moving Bradbury to guard. I would say... Wait, all right, so they do this on the pregame show. What's good? I'm guessing swim is good, right? I would say sink on this, but sink on moving Bradbury. I would keep Bradbury at the pivot. I would draft Ruiz, certainly fine with that, and have him play left guard. Zach Ballas, how'd you find out you were 70% Japanese? Do you have family in Japan? Do you plan on going someday? Well, I was adopted out of South Korea, and this entire time I thought it was like 50-50 Japanese and Korean, but I did the whole spit in a tube and send your DNA off to this company that certainly isn't selling your information to the government. Like, absolutely not. Certainly not doing that. But now I'm in the database. Cool. But then found out I'm 70% Japanese, which, how does that even break down? Like, what fraction does that work? But yeah, whatever. I'm probably have family over there. Probably try and go to the motherland someday. Once my kids are older and can actually appreciate like a trip like that, we will go back to Japan and Korea, maybe even China. Not Wu-Tang, but the rest of China. We'll see. Aaron Rodgers, BFF and lover. Who would you in a matchup, the best players in the NFC North against the best players of the AFC North? NFC North, that's not even that close. Travis, which player would you be most excited about the Vikings getting in a later round of the draft? Let's see, later round in the draft. All right, Tyler Johnson at 105. Take that, or even 132 in the 4th round. I like Travis Gibson from Tulsa, the edge rusher. I like Carter Coughlin in the later rounds, as both as like an edge and a backup linebacker. I really like James Prochet from SMU. I like John Hightower from Boise State. I like Alex Taylor from South Carolina State, the absolute like minute bowl of left tackles. Calvin Throckmorton from Oregon, I really like. J.J. Taylor, Dynamite. Levante Bellamy, the running back from Western Michigan, I like. Mason Fine. Tyler Huntley. Let's see what else here. Thad Moss, if you can get him in the 5th round. I think he'll probably go 4th, 5th, somewhere in there. Nick Harris, center out of Washington, I think would be a nice scheme fit into your offensive line for the Vikes. Rokon Williams, interior defensive lineman from Michigan State. Michael Danner from Michigan, by way of Central Michigan. Actually, I'm kind of whatever on that. Tim McGuire, $5 in Super Chat. Skull from Madison, Wisconsin. Any thoughts on the University of Wisconsin projects? I like Biadish. The wide receiver, I'm pretty I know that people kind of like Squintus more than I do. Jonathan Taylor, I think he's a little bit too much one note. I think he is more of a 2-down tyrant. I just don't think he has the soft skills to be a 3-down back in the league, but certainly will have value as like a hammer out there. See what else here. It's Wisconsin heavy. Oh, Zach Bond. I really like Zach Bond. If the Vikings went edge I would prefer Bond over Epinesa and Gross Matos in the first round. I really would, especially if the Vikings are shifting towards that 3-4, because I think he could do a lot more with Bond. He can be a 3-4 stand-up outside linebacker. He could probably project in to be a will linebacker. Oh, no. Nah, I don't really see that. It could be envision the role of Anthony Barr. I mean, I think Zach Bond could step in that role pretty easily, as well as put his hand in the dirt 4-3 defensive end rusher as well. So I think there's a lot more there as opposed to Epinesa and Gross Matos. Tristan, do you think the Vikings trade up and use Anthony Harris as trade value? I really want them to trade up for Andrew Thomas one time. Sure. I'd be in. The show. Thoughts on Gronk wasn't mean for O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard is on the market, man. And if only the Bears hadn't given Jimmy Graham $9 million fully guaranteed and a no-trade clause. Because, I mean, the Bears would make so much sense trading for O.J. Howard. It's stupid, but yeah. Nick Doroff. Which 4 members of the current Vikings roster would make the best boy band? Well, I think you'd have to go with the guys that just hang out and travel all the time. So it'd be Barr, Kendricks, Afadi, Eric Wilson, and Daniil Hunter. I mean, well, sometimes Daniil, but Daniil would be the Pete Best of the 4-member boy band. Do the Beatles count as a boy band? I think they should. Technically, by the letter of the law. Mr. Popo, just comment here. With so much noise around the league, I want to see the Vikings get new uniforms to trade a good draft or something. Even bring back Gus Ferrara, Brad Johnson. I need something. Yeah, I mean, everyone else getting new uniforms. I think the Vikings uniforms are okay. I mean, they certainly could do better. Like, if they went... Vikings throwback uniforms. Like, we've established on here that I'm a fan of, like, the clean-cut, classic look. That's why I love the Chargers. That's why I love the Browns, especially. But, I mean, this is sexy. I mean, this is a damn good look. I mean, the gray face mask, you can keep the matte helmet. You can do that fine. But just, like, clean lines... block lettering on the fonts, and I did not like these uniforms, by the way, especially the purple on purple. Get out of here, shoot. But yeah, the Vikings. Yeah, I mean, this is such a good look. These should be the Vikings full-time uniforms. Like I don't care. I don't care. Clean, sleek, classic. Just let's do this. Let's do it. All right, back to the questions. Who is the one player that you're most worried about or not wanting the Vikings taking? Becton. DG, pro wrestling, physical storytelling, or just lame fake fighting? Well, it's a soap opera with dire physical consequences. But if you think it like that, it's fine. Because, I mean, it's scripted drama, obviously, but, I mean, people love it. People do love it. So, I mean, who cares? I mean, NBA is scripted. Head coach. Who would you take between Colt McCoy or Nathan Peterman to start your career as a head coach? Jesus. Probably Colt McCoy. But God. Eric Hansen. Sorry, 2 questions. If we assume the Vikings start Elflein left guard all 16 games next year, how many games can we win? Rick Spielman the jobs. I think they will go 6-10, and I think that both of them are, well, Zimmer's fired by week 10. Rick Spielman will be relieved of his duties in the offseason. Number 2, unless it was like due to injury. So say the Vikings drafted Cesar Ruiz and Jonah Jackson. They both got abducted by aliens, and then Elflein just like, well, I guess you're default, buddy. There you go. 2, the Brady and Gronk tandem in Tampa. Will they be average or elite? I think they'll be elite. I actually think the year away will help. Rob Gronkowski's body to sort of heal up. Plus all the CBD oil. Let's go. Plus the vertical attacking offense that Bruce Arians brings in. The very Air Coryell-ish adjacent. Even though Brady doesn't have the greatest arm strength anymore. I mean, he is sort of dying. But just in terms of in the middle of the field, down the seam, like Tom Brady Tom Brady is the best seam passer in NFL history. You just think of what he did with Gronk. Think of what he's done with the great slot receivers in there. Also think of what he did in some inside routes with Randy Moss. He was just more than just bomb. But yeah, I think that especially the middle of the field when you got Godwin and Evans on the outside, it's going to be ripe for picking. So if they do get an Edelman, if they do get a Percy Harvin, I mean, that is disgusting. This is really disgusting. But Stinkman, Also, they have Cameron Brate, by the way, who's not a slouch either. But Stinkman, you get dinner with 4 people from any time in human history. Who are you inviting, and what's on the menu? Elon Musk. I just find him fascinating. I mean, just the mind. It does feel like Elon Musk is just like the average human being from 3,000 years in the future. He just sees all the angles and pushes forward. I would say that. I would say Bill Walsh. Or just, I'm always attracted to like amazing minds ahead of their times. So Bill Walsh, Elon Musk, Julius Caesar, who was a political genius as well as a military genius as well. Let's see, one more. Should I just pick someone completely random? Actually, So sticking with the military motif, I would pick Hannibal. The Carthaginian general. Just the audacity of a dude is like, not only am I going to attack Rome, I'm going to cross the Alps, bitch. Because, you rule the seas. I'm going to come over the Alps and I'm going to crush you from northern Italy. Yeah, just the balls and that, as well as the battle plans of Cannae and everything like that. I just want to know. Just want to know about things. Lake Trasimene. There you go. Next up is Abza Abdi. It's actually kind of a boring list, but I don't care. That's me. Abza Abdi. Year of new uniforms. If the Vikings are following the trend, I want them to see purple people eaters jerseys instead of the new decade. Agree. Kaiser Helm 14. Have you realized we played Tampa Bay this year? Yeah, we played them twice. Regular season as well as the NFC title game. Zach Ballas. Do you think the results of the draft will determine 4-3 or 3-4, or is it already decided? I think it's already decided. You look at the Pierce signing, you look at Dom Capers being brought in. I think the die is cast. Sparky, I don't think it will be complete full-on changeover in year one. I think it will be gradual. They'll probably run multiple fronts this year, but I think if they come away from the draft with if they go Epinesa in the first round, I think he's a clear-cut 5-tech and a 3-4. Or if they get like Lecky Fodu or Bravion Roy or Penasini from Utah, too. I think he'd be a solid 5-tech. Just look at personnel-wise, or James Litch from Baylor. I think he'd be a decent 5-tech and a 3-4. You look at if they take on like a full-on setup 0 or 1-tech nose tackle, that played some 3-4 concepts in college. I think that's a really, really clear indicator. Or you look at some of the edge rushers they bring in. Like if they bring in like a Zach Bond, if they bring a Clavon Chase on, if they bring in Gruss Mass could probably stand up, couldn't he? Yeah. Or Travis Gibson, I think, could be a really decent stand-up outside linebacker as well. So you just watch the personnel. All the breadcrumbs so far say that they are moving towards a 3-4, but we'll see. Sparky Finch, love the content, brother. Best offseason to date. The draft pick value chart is outdated. Dalen Russell ran a story yesterday called Rick Spielmaster. I mean, it's been outdated, but so are all the other updated trade charts, because it really is much more about supply and demand. So the team asking for the trade, the team that needs the trade to happen, is going to be giving up more value than the trade chart suggests. Because I mean, in a vacuum, I mean the trade value static. I think it's fine. I think it's a decent starting point, but is it the be all end all? No. If you go back and look at some of the trades, I mean they certainly do not sync up to the value. So it's a decent starting point. Otherwise, it's just a really abstract conversation. Michael Blackie, would you trade 22-25 future second to Washington for a second overall? Well, we go by the chart, except it's outdated. For Trent Williams, 2 first and a future second to get 2 in Trent Williams. I'm not really that. I don't like trading up in the top 5 unless you're getting a quarterback. And the likelihood of the Vikings extending Cousins, then trading up to get a quarterback are pretty nil. So you're getting up to get Chase Young, which I would be okay with. 2 first and a future second. Nah. Sir Meeps a lot. Do you think it'd be smart to trade Kyle Rudolph for a 4 and then trade that 4 for O.J. Howard? Or we get younger, save a little money? Well, I mean, if they do it, sure. But I don't think a team would go for that. Maddox Maloney, thoughts on Tutska and what round do you think he can go? I like Tutska, highly productive player. NDSU, I think he's going to be in that round 6, round 7 territory. We actually may get pushed up a little bit more because of the thinness of this edge class. But intriguing. Yeah. Ed Zacco. Will Rick and Mike get contract extensions before week 6? Maybe. Since they are both on lame duck years. Because they extended Cousins, maybe you sync that up again. Rick Spielman asked, I don't think that's the real Rick. Skull Jeromes, number 1, what are your thoughts on supplemental draft being hyped up? Yeah, because of the questions with is there going to be a college season? People point out that this could be the biggest supplemental draft of all time, where you have players that are draft eligible this year still have to be 3 years removed. But say redshirt sophomore or redshirt juniors that came back for another year, or seniors that came back for another year. Yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm not going to sit around and not make money, so I may as well declare for the supplemental draft. I think the Vikings are really in a nice place for that, since they do have an extra 4th rounder from Buffalo, as well as are in good shape for compensatory picks next year as well. Pound your fist in the first round for your favorite prospect, and that's in the 17 to 30 range. Who is it? Josh Jones, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Rieger. I guess 17. C.J. Henderson, does he fit there? Sure. Stanley Moros. I think Tua has talent. Can be a solid starter in the league, but I don't think he'll be elite or even top 5 quarterback. Can't remember the name of a Bama quarterback or not. Blah, 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 blah. Don't scout the player, not the helmet. Tua is a transcendent player. If he stays healthy, I think he can be a top 5 guy. I really do. Just the accuracy and anticipation that he throws with the leadership soft skills are just all absolutely on point. T-Rag. Would it be okay if they double down on corner in the first round? It's been brought up before. I'm sure I would do it for Zimmer. It's better than Enzite, but Michael Miller. Do you think they'll have football season? Yes. Also, would it be a disaster if we don't draft offensive line in the first or second round? Yes. Because I think the drop off from week 1 immediate talent, like the Vikings have to come out of this draft with one week 1 starting offensive line player. It can be interior offensive line, it can be tackle, whatever. But if you wait for the 3rd round, it does get pretty dicey, as well as I think there could be another run, especially on that interior offensive line class, sometime in the 2nd round. So if you skip out completely, you may be SOL. Actually, doubling down on offensive linemen in the 1st round, I would not be that upset by it. Like if you went full on Leroy Jenkins, like the Falcons did last year with Lindstrom at 14, then they traded back in for Caleb McGarry. Now McGarry, that was a terrible pick. I think he gave up the most pressures in the league last year. He was bad. Also, he was bad coming into the draft. Some people had like round 3 grades on McGarry. Then Thomas Dimitroff's like, hey, hold my borscht. I'm in on this. Hell, the Vikings went Ezra Cleveland, Cesar Ruiz, Josh Jones, Cesar Ruiz, 22-25. Would anyone really be mad? I would actually be pretty in. DG, former Baylor defensive end Sean Oakman was a good project for Coach Patterson, went undrafted. Science, sexual assault, clear, Wildcats, Jacksonville, age 28. I think he's too old. I think he was actually really limited as a prospect even before he got into the off-the-field stuff when he was coming out of Baylor. I'm pass. Mario Carmona. Who do you think the biggest surprise pick will be coming out of that first round? Actually, the only reason we're hyped up about Sean Oakman is because of the memes. Yeah, the memes from back in the day. Mario Carmona. Who do you think the biggest surprise pick will be coming out of the first round? Jalen Hurts. Just because of the Saban and Belichick connection, just Jalen Hurts at 23. Just like fully putting it on the table, above Jordan Love, above Jake from State Farm, above Jacob Eason, just like Jalen Hurts, stick and pick. 23, Belichick is like, puts it on the table. What is up? Next up is Hunter Williams from Coon Rapids and 2020 TV equals 98 Vikings. Maybe. Just imagine if they get, say they pass, say they get like Justin Jefferson in the first round. Or KJ Hill. KJ Hill would make more sense, like in the 2nd round for the Bucks, and then they get offensive tackle, like say Josh Jones or something at 14. But yeah, KJ Hill working the slot. You got Godwin and Evans on the outside, and Gronk in the middle. That could be a record-setting offense, especially with Bruce Arians at the helm. Shoot, Ryan O'Sullivan. I'm not sure if you saw the Rick Spielman interview. He said a lot. I don't think we necessarily gleamed a lot about it. Didn't gleam a lot from it. I was like, oh, we've had trade up and trade down offers. Cool. Good job, Rick. Henrik Byerlev. How many more we got left? A couple more. Henrik Byerlev. Who is the better mid-round prospect for the Vikings? Ben Barsh or Daryl Taylor? I like Taylor. I think Barsh. Yeah, I've been a little bit hard on Barsh. I really like him as a prospect. I think he does need to sit a year. I did hold up well down the Senior Bowl. But if you put him in an NFL situation where defensive ends are going to be able to put on tape of Barsh, have a full dossier, and prepare every single week for him, I think that could be different than just straight up one-on-ones with, yes, better talent than usual. But, I mean, just in a vacuum one-on-ones, I mean, that's a lot different than if an edge rusher has all week to dissect your tendencies and your weaknesses and just go after you. So I really like Ben Barsh. Taylor's decent. I really like Barsh, but I don't want him to be the week one start. Like, so say the Vikings pick up Cesar Ruiz at 25, starting left guard, good to go there. You decide to roll Riley Reef, or you trade for Trent Williams, and then you pick up Ben Barsh in the third round. Then you sit him a year or two. Sit him the way that the Philadelphia Eagles sat down Andre Dillard, a year behind Jason Peters. The way that the Chargers picked up Trey Pipkins, sat him a year behind Russell Okung. Now it looks like Pipkins may have a shot to be the starting left tackle for the Chargers. I think that would be the best route for him. Have you ever had the famous hot wings from Sweeney's? Nope. What about steak tartare with quail egg from Happy Gnome? Yes, I have. R.I.P. Happy Gnome. It's a great place in St. Paul, by the way. Thanks, Relicana, as always, Skull. Thank you for coming along. As well as if you want that beautiful, sexy purple check mark, hit that join box down below, become a monthly or platinum Jerome, as well as, oh, man, producer Alex is going to yell at me if I don't say this. So down below in the description, you see all of our Teespring items. Currently, we are having a sale. 20% off your purchase if you use promo code DRAFT, D-R-A-F-T, on anything down below. Get yourself, the Green Bay Tears mug. Get yourself the shirts. Actually, no, is that on screen? There you go. Green Bay Tears mugs. Anything from Teespring, 20% off if you use promo code DRAFT, D-R-A-F-T. Do that up. Next up is Pulford Skull. Where, if anywhere, do you think Leonard Fournette will land? I don't know. He's just so limited as a running back. The days of the two-down tyrants are gone. Maybe he ends up at Tampa, except then Tampa certainly needs a receiving back. Ronald Jones is terrible, too. I mean, maybe Kansas City. Are they just taking on all the former Florida running backs? I don't know. I don't mean Florida by university. I mean Florida by like the state of Florida, because David Williams came from the Dolphins too. I think he and James go to Pittsburgh. Sure, why not? Ethan Griffith, what do you think about the NFL Insider rumor that all the mock drafts are way off this year more than usual, and the whole draft is going to shake out way differently than any of us think? I mean, that happens every year. More than usual, just because of the quarantine and the Rona and whatnot. Sure. What do you think about trading Anthony Harris a mid-second rounder and using the pick on Winfield or Delpit, and then using the cap space to sign Logan Ryan or another veteran corner? I would be in on that. Yeah. Shadow Gray Ninja. Jerome. Oh God, we didn't get to the roasting listener mock drafts. I'm in on this, by the way. Epinesa, Jalen Johnson, Ezra Cleveland, Chenault. Even though I feel like you went a little bit high on Epinesa, getting some value there. You got my guy Jalen Johnson, Ezra Cleveland. Of course, I love Laviska Chenault. That's almost cheating. Any mock that has Ezra Cleveland and Laviska Chenault, I'm going to be in. All right, so bring things home, and we will do a one-round stick and pick mock draft. Just see what goes on there. All right, so now Burrow 1, Chase Young 2. Should the Lions go Tua just to spice things up? I like things spicy. Nah. Okuda, boilerplate there. So the Giants, I think they could go Wills. There's some Wills steam there. Dolphins up next. I think Tua makes too much sense. The Chargers, could they go cornerback? They got Desmond King. They have Derwin. They have so many good pieces on that back end. They just need another cornerback. Could they go CJ Henderson this high? let's throw a wrench in things. I like throwing wrenches in things because they have Pipkins. Maybe they're not sold on Justin Herbert. So, yeah, let's throw a wrench into everything. Now, the Panthers. I mean, the fact that the Panthers just have Derek Brown fall in their lap, it's just gross. Cardinals. I mean, there's been some talk that could go wide receiver. That makes no sense at all. I mean, yeah, Clavon Chason opposite Chandler Jones. Let's go. And then the Jaguars coming up. A lot of needs. Could they go wide receiver here? Could they match up Chark with CD Lamb? Absolutely. There you go. Browns. I feel like the Browns are going to brown. I feel like that they're just so enamored by guys like Becton. I don't think that they can help themselves. So Becton, second tackle off the board. Jets, thank all their lucky stars that Andrew Thomas just falls into the lap. Raiders, so yeah, an homage to Al Davis. So Niners here. I think they probably trade out of this pick, but the fact that Kinlaw is there, the fact that Isaiah Simmons has fallen this far, could they really help themselves? Like, I'm sure they would just find a spot for him. There you go. Buccaneers tackle. You can get worse at that right tackle spot. Easy, lemon squeezy. Jerry Jeudy going to the Broncos. Now the Falcons, they whiffed on getting Henderson because he went rather early. Fulton makes a lot of sense here. Gladney makes a lot of sense for the Falcons. Kinlaw's sitting there winking at him. All right, we'll give him Christian Fulton. Next up, the Cowboys. So this could start a nice little cornerback run. Give him Hefe Gladney. He just moves from Fort Worth over to Dallas or Arlington, I guess. Dolphins, they got Tua, and now they're in the market for a left tackle. They haven't really replaced Leonard Tunsil. Josh Jones, come on down. The Raiders got their wide receiver, cornerback-wise, that could be in on. But also Kinlaw is still on board at 18. I think that's too much value for them to pass up. And now the Jaguars, they got Lamb early on. I think they'll circle back, get Delpit, best safety on the board, as well as the Eagles coming in. Wide receiver, I mean, Jefferson makes a ton of sense. Come in, play in the slot right away, be the player that they wanted Nelson Aguilar to be, and he wasn't. Vikings up. So, I mean, the boards have been already picked over pretty bad. But Patrick Queen is there on board. You had Kenneth Murray. We talked about the Vikings aren't really moving to a 3-4. You do need a couple more linebackers. A playmaker like Murray or Patrick Queen would make a lot of sense. Isaiah Wilson, I think he's strictly a right tackle, so you could pass him up there. I mean, you got Cesar Ruiz sitting there chilling. Actually, let's get nuts. So Ezra Cleveland, 22. The Patriots are going to take. Actually, yeah, we said we're going to get nuts. Patriots are going to take Jalen Hurts. Let's get absolutely nuts here. The Saints could use a linebacker, so we'll give them Kenneth Murray. And now the Vikings at 25. Let's get Cesar Ruiz. So the Vikings just going full on offensive line. Ezra Cleveland, left tackle of the future. Cesar Ruiz on that left side, left guard. So let's go. Let's completely rebuild this mother. Rick ignores the offensive line. There. Dolphins. So they got Josh Jones and Tua. I'm sure they would have loved Cesar Ruiz here. But, give them a little help on the back end. They got Xavier McKinney. Now I feel like the Seahawks and either Epineza or Gross Matos is just like a match made in heaven, where Epineza could play that left defensive end spot, primarily play a lot of 4-3 under there in Seattle. So that would make a lot of sense. He's got that size and strength on the edge. Bring him on. Ravens. I mean, the Ravens are always in such a stupid spot. I mean, Patrick Queen just falls in your lap. Must be nice. Gross Matos going to the Titans. So nice little defensive line going there. Gross Matos as well as Justin Simmons. Got Stu going. Wide receiver Denzel Mims goes to the Packers. Hopefully he busts. The Niners picked up Simmons, which is gross. Just absolutely disgusting. Cornerback Jalen Johnson's there chilling. Go. It's kind of a bad pick. The Niners tend to play a lot more zone. Jalen Johnson's probably better suited to man. I guess cornerback wise, even Ben Agane would be a better fit there. Terrell definitely would have been a better fit, but yeah, is what it is. Lastly, the Chiefs. Chiefs need a lot of help. Let's give them J.K. Dobbins. No, let's give them Jordan Love. Actually, no. Let's give them the absolute track meet. Give them KJ Hamler. All right, so yeah, because there have been some talk of like, hey, the Chiefs might move up for Ruggs. Well, let's give them Hamler. So they got Hamler and Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins and Mecole Hardman. They have a 4x1 track team. It's pretty amazing. So that's it. Focusing on the Vikings, just hammering that offensive line, Ezra Cleveland and Cesar Ruiz. I say, why the hell not? Why the hell not at that point? Boom. All right, that is it. Thank you very much for coming along on the live stream. You guys are the best. Jeromes, heart you. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., we'll be back on the live stream, as well as we haven't fully decided what we're going to do during the draft, but we do have to, hop out when the Vikings do pick and, do a little bit of drafty profiles on the players that are coming in. But who knows? Maybe we'll just do a live stream. Maybe we'll be off air at times, but just have a live stream so that Jeromes can hang out and chat. Haven't decided what we'll do yet, but I'm sure you guys will figure it out. Again, if you want to support the work, hit that join box, become a monthly or platinum Jerome. Pick up some Teespring gear. Again, promo code DRAFT. It saves you 20% off anything that you order. Get the Bike Flare bumper sticker. Woo! Do that up. But the next time, Skull, production value.